Hello, my name is Jantari and I want to welcome you to Reinvent Your Body series. How to create your best health, stop yo-yo dieting and lose weight for good. Today's my guest is Kimberly Schlag. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi, you can call me Kim.
Hello, Kim. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Would you mind a little bit introducing yourself?
Sure thing. So I am an online personal trainer and nutrition coach. I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have been coaching online for a good handful of years and in person before then. I got into fitness as a result of my own personal transformation. I struggled with obesity after having 3 children and discovered a love of strength training and wanted to share that with other women. And also was very passionate about what your conference is about, which is stopping yo-yo dieting. Because if there was a diet, I had tried it. And I'm all about helping women not do stupid stuff with their nutrition.
Good point. Good point. So today we're going to talk more or less about menopause. So can you tell us why women gain weight when they in the menopause or premenopausal?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Absolutely. So, it's something that a lot of women struggle with. I am a woman in perimenopause. I've been in perimenopause. I'm 49, and my first perimenopause symptoms started when I was 43. And so this has been a really long road for me, and that is not unusual. Like many women are in perimenopause 7 to 10 years with all kinds of, very impactful symptoms. It's not just what you hear about, oh, I had a few hot flashes and now I'm in menopause, right? They can be very life-altering symptoms. One of the things that many women struggle with is this idea of, why am I gaining weight? And there's a couple of factors. The first thing to know is it is not a sentence. The fact that you are in perimenopause or menopause is not a sentence that you must gain weight. A lot of people experience, and part of it has to do with age. After age 30, every decade after that, we will lose muscle mass, 3 to 8% of our muscle mass, if we don't do something about it. So if you're losing muscle mass, right, your body composition is changing and you're like, what is this squishiness, right? So, but we can, and we can talk in a little bit about what can we do about that factor, right?
Yeah.
Another factor is that you might just be moving less. As you're getting older and as you're sitting at your desk more and your career is really stable and you're not chasing little children, right? You're maybe not as physical. I'm not talking about if a person is listening to this, they're like, no, I work out. I work out 4 times a week or 5 times a week. That's like an hour out of your day. Think about all the other time that you're doing literally what I'm doing right now, which is sitting parked at a desk, right? So part of it is we might be moving less. Another really big factor, it's not that you're actually gaining weight, it's that you're noticing that you're holding your weight differently. And that is, as our estrogen levels decline, we have a tendency to store fat more in our bellies. It's not that we now have extra fat, but if we are gaining weight, we tend to store it there and we get this menopause belly. It's a really real thing. Super important to note, if you have excess fat, it's because you're eating too many calories, okay? If you lose weight, you will lose that fat in your belly. It's not any kind of special fat. There's no special protocol to lose it. It's literally a matter of eating in a calorie deficit until you lose your fat there. So if you have this menopause belly, it doesn't mean it has to stay around or you have to approach things differently. It just means you need to lose a little bit of weight and you will lose it there. If a person is gaining weight, if you're not losing weight, at any stage of life, whether you are 20 or 30 or 50 or 60, it is because your energy balance is off. You are taking in more calories than you are expending. And the best place to focus your energy is on how many calories you're taking in. Everybody wants to go right to, calories burned. Let's see. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to get on the elliptical. The place to really focus your attention is on what is happening with your nutrition. then one more big factor, and people might, because people hear that and they're like, I don't think I'm eating too many calories. I think it's stress. I think it's sleep, lack of sleep, and all of these things. And those are big factors for lots of people, specifically for perimenopausal and menopausal women, because when we're in perimenopause, one of the things that happens is we do have night sweats. We lose, and besides the night sweats, just general insomnia. So we're not sleeping as much. So when you don't have good quality sleep, you tend to have more cravings, decreased satiety. Okay, so both of those things still impact the energy balance formula, right? So if you have more cravings and you indulge them, you're eating more calories, right? If you're hungrier, you're eating more food. And so it's not that those are outside of the energy balance equation. They're just factors that are tending you to have more calories in on the calories in part, and fewer calories out on the calories out part, because you're not moving as much because you're tired because you didn't sleep all night.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Can you tell us that on average, more or less, like a woman like premenopause or menopausal, how much they gain weight, like in pounds, in kilograms, and how fast?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Here's the interesting thing. Do you want to know how many studies are out there about women in menopause and their weight, or women in menopause and anything? Like, it's really hard to find anybody studying this kind of stuff. So I have no idea. Yeah, right. It's just not out there. That information, like people, it's a really neglected group of people. What's happening to women's bodies in perimenopause and menopause? You're not going to be finding a ton of information out there on it. I have no idea what the average rate of weight loss is, or how often. I have a lot of experience working with women in this area. They have found me because I talk about it a lot. I talk about my own experience and that of my clients. And it just, gosh, it varies so much. You know, there are many women who are struggling with obesity at this time. There are many women who it's just like, they've got this kind of like last 5 or 10 pounds mentality. Like they just have this little bit of extra fluff they don't want. And there's everything in between. It's not like a person hits menopause and like, whoops, now I'm gaining, X number of pounds per year. It just varies.
Is it possible to control that? How do they control? Is it based on nutrients, what they intake to control that weight? How do you do?
How do you control the excess weight? It's exactly the same as it would be at any other stage of your life. It's about getting a hold of your nutrition. And no, it's not about any particular nutrient. It's not like, now I'm in menopause, I should go low carb, right? It's not like that. Or now I'm in menopause, I need to cut out sugar. What you need to do is find out what style of eating works for you to get yourself into a calorie deficit. So eating fewer calories than you are burning, and not just like, how quickly can I do that, but how can I sustain that in my life? And it's different for many people, like what will help them do that. One of the guiding principles is just having flexibility. Cutting out whole food groups doesn't work for most people because we like to eat various kinds of food, right? And so people who are like, I need to go gluten-free, I need to go, zero sugar. It's really hard to stick to that. It's not even necessary, and it's just tricky to stick to. If a person is like, hey, you know what? I like doing keto. It will work. Like keto can work. The idea is finding a way of eating that you enjoy, that you can sustain, because weight loss is not a quick endeavor.
No.
And so finding a style of eating and any diet you do, if it works, it's working because you're in a calorie deficit. You're eating fewer calories than your body needs to maintain its current weight. And so figure out what style of eating you can maintain that deficit with.
Mm. When they say when it comes to losing weight, and is it because if you are in a menopause, right? Is it makes harder to lose weight? Because a lot of women is kind of excuse, like they're gaining weight. It's like, for me, it's harder to lose because I'm in menopause. Is it harder to lose, or is kind of, because to lose weight is not easy. It's a journey.
It is not easy.
It's not easy. It's a journey. And is it harder because you are in the menopause, or no, or is the same way?
So we have additional hurdles, and the couple that I've already spoken about here are the big ones. It's not like that there is something different about the process. What is different is that you now have more hurdles to manage. The lack of sleep, so the increased cravings, the decreased satiety. You might have more stress because, dealing with menopause is quite stressful. At any given time, my symptoms are so bizarre. Like anxiety can increase. Like, so I've struggled with anxiety attacks, which I haven't had in years. I all of a sudden, like, I have insane seasonal allergies that have come on as a result of menopause. I've never dealt with that before. I've had things where my hands, they get icy cold that I have to wear gloves in the house. And if you've ever tried typing on your computer while you're wearing gloves, and it's so cold that it was distracting. It's like, I could only think about the fact that my hands were so cold. And all of this is converging at once. So imagine just, and there were times that I didn't quite understand that menopause was causing my symptoms. And, I thought I had early onset dementia. And I was like, is this MS? Like, what is happening to my body? There was just so many different symptoms that had no idea at the time that they were menopause. And so that's a lot of stress to deal with. And so when we're under stress, we're not necessarily making the best nutritional choices, right? Like, I'm worried about all these other things.
Yeah.
And so is it physically harder? No, but do we have a lot more hurdles to cross? Yes, we do. If you're lacking sleep, if you're overly stressed, all of these things, affect our ability to get into and maintain our calorie deficit. And so it's really, I like to talk about this with women who are in menopause. There is nothing stopping you from losing weight. Just because you have these additional hurdles, what we have to do is find a way to address that. What do you do about your lack of sleep? How do you help handle that? And the answer is different for many people. For me, my lack of sleep was extreme. I was having hot flashes dozens of times a night. And for those of you who've never had a hot flash, it is not as simple as like, you don't just get a little bit warm. That's not what it is. It's burning hot. It feels like it's coming from the inside of your body, and it gets so hot that it will wake you from a dead sleep like that. And now you're suddenly wide awake and you're drenched. You are literally dripping wet. And so if you're dripping wet, you can't just go back to sleep. You have to get up and dry off and change your clothes. Imagine that happening dozens of times in a night. Like, it's not, I'm just warm. And so the impact of that lack of sleep, what do we do about that? For me, the right answer was hormone replacement therapy. I went and I got on HRT, and in a matter of weeks, I was sleeping again. That's not the right answer for everybody, but they have to find a way. How am I going to manage my lack of sleep? And even if you are lacking sleep, you can still control your nutrition. It just takes more effort to do that. So address, what will I do when I'm craving? How will I set up my environment to handle those cravings? What am I going to do about this increased hunger? Am I going to start eating foods that are more volume? Am I going to add more protein? Am I going to add some more dietary fat? What will I do? What strategies will I use to address that issue? We address those issues that then still help us be in a calorie deficit.
Women who are trying to lose weight, someone like skinny woman trying to tone up, or what do you suggest them to do? What kind of exercise you set for them?
Got it. Yeah, exercise is a big part of the equation. So if a person is wanting to look lean and toned, the two things are, what do I do with my nutrition and what do I do with my exercise? If somebody has excess fat, they're going to need to eat in a calorie deficit to lose that fat. That's a part of it. As far as that nice shapely look, a big piece of that women overlook is actually building muscle. You can't get that lean toned look just by losing weight, because you have to actually build muscle. Two things to do to build muscle. One piece with nutrition, eat enough protein. Second piece is strength train with enough intensity progressively over time. Okay, what do I mean by that? So it's not a matter of getting your heart rate up or burning calories, working up a sweat or those kind of things. What you want to do is give your body enough stress to have to adapt. And we do that by, one, using really good form, and two, increasing how much weight we're lifting. And so a lot of women, really hesitate to lift up very heavy weight, right? They stick with little light dumbbells, 10 pounds, 12 pounds, 5 pounds. And the idea is, if you do that, you will not be able to make your body change. You need to lift heavier weight over time. So I recommend women strength train 3 times a week, 4 times a week, somewhere one of those two are really good options, with an eye towards perfecting your form and then increasing how much weight you're lifting, how much work you're doing, with moves like squats, deadlifts, upper body pushes like dumbbell chest presses, push-ups, upper body pulls, things like chin-ups, lat pull downs, What did I miss? Rows. Did I say squats? Yeah. Lunges, hip thrusts. Really work on those kind of key moves and work on getting stronger at them over time, and you will see your body change. It's amazing the impact that strength training can have on a person's shape.
Is there anything, let's just say I'm a runner.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any towards shape of your body, whether you are a runner and you're not lifting any heavy weights, is that going to be help you tone up?
It's not going to hurt. You can be a runner and be thin. You're not going to have like that toned, shapely look. No, building muscle, you cannot build muscle just simply by running.
And so for those women, right, who are exercising and all that, what kind of do you provide or you suggest them? What kind of nutritions to take, to how to eat, and how many times maybe per day as well? Because a lot of women they stop eating.
Yeah,
weight.
That's definitely not the goal. We don't want anybody to stop eating. So, what I would suggest somebody do with their nutrition would depend on factors like what is their goal and what is their current nutrition like now. If they are relatively lean and they're looking to build muscle so that they can get more toned and shapely, it's possible we could have them eat right around their maintenance calories and work out in the way I just described, and they might see that change. If they want to lose fat, we would need them to eat fewer calories, eat in a calorie deficit while continuing to train. In any case, the specifics of like how many times a day to eat can always be left up to the individual. There's no meal timing strategy that is like quote unquote correct. Okay. So at the end of the day, you need to be in a calorie deficit if you want to lose weight. You can eat at maintenance if you're looking to just body recomp. How many times you eat isn't important, except for as it helps you adhere to your plan. Some people do not like to eat breakfast. Totally fine. You don't have to. Some people really like to eat big meals. Okay. And so you can have 2 really big meals. Some people prefer smaller meals. And so you could have 4 smaller meals. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the total calorie content is the same. There is some merit to the idea that just grazing all day long tends to lead to eating more calories, that the more eating opportunities there are, the more calories we eat. So I'm not a super huge fan of just grazing throughout the day. I do think it's important to have distinct eating events, like whether you want to call it a meal or a snack that you have planned ahead of time, like here is when I'm going to eat. I am not eating during this time. Otherwise, the calories just add up. If you like nibble here, bite there, taste there, they add up. But what research shows us is it doesn't matter how many times you eat per day. Matters the total calories you eat.
Definitely. What would you suggest to women who are emotional eaters?
Yeah, that's the first thing I would say is stop defining yourself as an emotional eater, right? We all do that, right? Everyone's like, I'm an emotional eater, as though we're some separate class of human, right? We're all, as humans, most of us have at least gone through times when we struggle with eating emotionally. And some people don't even realize that it's an issue, yet at the same time, they're struggling with their weight and they're not connecting those 2 things. So the first thing I would say is don't define yourself as an emotional eater. You could talk about yourself. And I do think language matters. And so maybe saying things to yourself like, I'm practicing being a person who handles her stress or whatever the emotion is without choosing food. Like I'm practicing becoming a person who can be stressed, upset, sad, whatever it is, and not dealing with it with food. It's such a go-to strategy for us. It's kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. Like I am, for me, I know my particular triggers. Like if I get overwhelmed with work, I all of a sudden need a snack, right? And what I really need is a break from my friggin' work. My colleague Georgie Fear calls this procrastinating, which I love that term. I am 100% a procrastinator, right? Like I'll be doing something and I'm struggling with it. And instead of being like, you know what, I'm gonna step away from this for 10 minutes, I'm all of a sudden like, I need a snack, right? And I'm not even hungry. And it took me a long time to realize like, that's my pattern. I'm a procrastinator. For other people, it's when they're tired or they're bored, boredom eating, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge one. it doesn't actually entertain us that much, but it gives us something to do in the moment, right? And so we go and we get another snack from the cupboard and we sit back down and we're still bored, you know? And so the interesting thing about eating emotionally is that we don't actually address the underlying emotional problem. Me getting a granola bar is not going to help the fact that I'm totally overwhelmed with work. It doesn't fix it, right? It gives me a pause from it. You getting a bag of chips does not all of a sudden make your life interesting. You're still bored. Now you're just bored while you're eating chips, right? And so it's really important, one, to notice that we're doing this. Two, give ourselves space to make a different choice when we notice that, hey, like I tend to eat when. If you notice like your hand is in the bag of chips or in the pantry again, give yourself space to make a different choice. Like, I'm going to put this food away. I'm going to walk away from it for 20 minutes. And I'll tell you in a minute what you can do during those 20 minutes. And then I'll come back in 20 minutes and I'm going to get this bag of chips again if I still really want the chips. Okay. And then during that 20 minutes, and look, this is not something that like, oh, I did this once and it works. You practice this over and over. You practice your way to success. So you identify the emotion you're actually feeling. Okay. I'm sad. I'm really sad. Okay. What can I do to manage the sad? What can I do to manage the sad? Actually, I missed one step, which is ask yourself, am I physically hungry? Because if you're not physically hungry, the answer is not going to be found in those chips, right? There's nothing wrong with eating when you're hungry. So if you're sad and hungry, eat some food, right? You can eat, right? So often what we do is we eat when we're not hungry. So if you're not hungry, think about what is the emotion I'm actually feeling? Am I bored? Am I sad? Am I lonely? Am I stressed? Okay, figure out what you're feeling and then figure out how you're going to deal with that emotion, right? Because chips aren't going to help it. Cookies aren't going to help it. So if you're sad, call your mom, write in your journal, go for a walk. There's so many things that we can do. And what I find with the clients that I work with is their emotional eating triggers are usually the same things. It's when they're upset. It's whatever it is. So make a note. I have people using their phones because that's what we have with us. Put a note in your phone. When I feel X, when I feel bored, here are 3 things I can do, right? So when I am bored, I will, some people frankly need a new hobby. Like they don't have much going on in their life. If bored is the problem, you need to find something in your life that is interesting. And whether that means like, hey, I'm going to finally pursue the thing I really want to do with my career. I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to join a club, whatever it is. Like if bored is the problem, we got to get you something interesting in your life over and above Oreos. So that's a big one. I have a lot of clients that we talk about, what do you actually need to find interesting in your life? If it's, I'm sad, and look, we're all sad for all kinds of reasons. What will you do when you're sad? Write that down in your phone. And then during that 20-minute time away from the chips, do those things. Do one of those things. And what we often find is, more often than not, we don't need the chips anymore because we weren't hungry. That was the whole point. We asked ourselves if we're hungry and we're not. And now we're actually tending to the emotion that is causing us to want to eat.
Definitely. Well, Kimberly, it was lovely talking to you. Before we're going to go, is there anything else on your mind you want to
Oh, you broke up there. Did you ask me if there's anything else on my mind I want to chat about?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Oh gosh. I guess the message I would want to leave with everybody is it's never too late to deal with any of this stuff. You never get to the point where you are too old to get in better shape, too old to get stronger, too old to like finally deal with the fact that you eat emotionally, too old to lose weight. It doesn't happen. There is at no point too old. It is just never too late. And you're never too far gone. A lot of people are just like, this is how I am. This is how I've always been. And this is how I will continue to be. And it's just not, it's not true.
Yeah, definitely. It's not. And can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Absolutely. So Kim Schlag Fitness, I'll spell my last name. It's a hard one. SCHLAG, Kim Schlag Fitness. You can find me on Instagram is where I'm at a ton. YouTube, building a big YouTube channel. I put videos out like once a week, long form videos about emotional eating and how to get stronger and all of those kinds of things. So YouTube's a good one. I have a podcast called the Fitness Simplified Podcast, published there once a week.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.
No problem. My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for watching and have a good day. Goodbye.
Bye.